Change your stratagem key, but your arrow keys your better access to your stratagems and moving was inputted your commands. So you're better input those commands with anything but your WASD keys. Change your aim setting to per weapon. For better frames, turn off motion blur and depth of field. To be honest, in any game, turn off motion blur. Drop your samples if you're close to the extraction points. Pick them up later instead of carrying them around and having to pick them up if you die. Sometimes it's best to leave them behind. You can shoot behind you whilst running with a secondary weapon. Drop and pick up artillery shells whilst moving. It's faster. Diving onto the ground while on fire will extinguish flames. Fighting Terminids is easier than the automatons. In my opinion anyway, Terminids can't shoot you with rockets and kill you instantly. No, not even the Nuakas can one-shot you. Before you stim, it might be more useful to run as much as you can and then stim, as stimming also recovers your stamina. Helldivers can be used as weapons as well. You don't have to engage every enemy group, it's best to remain undetected. You can spam ping on your map to find optional objectives. Make sure you use high ground to easily shoot at weak points. Use cover such as rocks. As an example, Dervishes come mow you down as you're shooting their head and keeping away from line of sight. Fun fact, you can even stealth in this game. Alright, I'm going to talk about the stratagems now. I'm going to skip stratagems that are currently considered, in my opinion, bad, such as the anti-personnel minefield. It sounds cool until you realize that Helldivers are the only personnel around. Cluster bomb, amazing horde clearer. Covers a big area and getting more than 10 kills every time is very common. Orbital walking barrage. Clears out anything in front of you. Can also take out automaton fabricators and nests out that are in range. It can also take out tanks and cannon towers, but only if it hits. Orbital laser. Very effective. Even takes out heavy automaton bases for the most part on its own. Not really recommended against Terminids, as a charger will use it up fully. So you might as well use the real cannon strike with the bugs instead, since it has potential. Potential to take out Battle Titans with one shot. Will take out hulks, cannon towers and chargers with one shot. Highly recommended against Terminids. Eagle airstrike, absolutely S tier. Necessary against automatons because it's so effective. If angled correctly, it destroys medium bases as well. Eagle 500 kilogram bomb, potential to insta-kill Battle Titans. Clears out bug breaches, very versatile. Orbital precision strike, very versatile and well-rounded. It's like the small brother of the 500 kilogram bomb. Lower cooldown and lower call-in time, but also has a smaller radius. Orbital EMS strike, stun an entire army. Pretty useful if paired with other stratagems. Can be inconvenient since it slows you down as well. Keep in mind you can also throw these down onto bug breaches. Tesla tower. This stratagem melts away the enemy. Remember to place it well though, because the firing on it is slow, making it susceptible to being broken fast. Also one-shots teammates, so it's tricky to use. But if you figure it out and place it well, it's very convenient. Supply pack. You can use a supply backpack on yourself by pressing the 5 key. Help out your teammates and make yourself immortal. Guard dog rover. It's almost always up. Very useful to keep enemies away from you. Definitely recommended. Shield generator pack. Highly recommended. Can't go wrong with this. Nullifies the ballistic shield. Gatling sentry. Even more useful now that the shriekers have been introduced. Make sure it's far away from enemies that can't be easily killed by the Gatling sentry. Mortar sentry. Useful against bots and they can clean out automaton bases. Less practical against bugs, unless it's a kill mission. Autocannon sentry. Slow to fire, but takes large chunks out of medium enemies as well as Battle Titans. Best used against bugs. EMS mortar. Turns an entire battlefield to an EMS field. Slows armies over and over. Best paired with the mortar sentry as enemies pile into static field, making groups vulnerable to explosives. Hatred exosuit. Very reliable against Terminids. Not meant for bots though, as they will get blown up by rockets very fast. After all, it's not a tank, it's essentially a glass cannon. Also, if you hop out of it once it's empty, you can use it to block enemies and blow it up, killing enemies in turn. Shoot generator. Some people find it S tier, some people find it F tier. I say it's up to your playstyle. You can shoot out of it whilst you're inside, but nothing else can hit you, making it very useful in automaton missions. Alright, next up are the weapons. But first of all, it's important to know that weapons with heat sinks perform better on cold planets, worse on hot planets, and all weapons are a lot more accurate when prone, but you're more susceptible to melee attacks. Autocannon, highly effective against automatons, can be used to destroy bug holes and bot factories from a great distance. Fabricators can be used to destroy bug holes and fabricators from a great distance, and also destroy tanks and cannon towers when shooting at weak spots. You also reload 5 shells at a time, so feel free to reload when you only have 4 shots left. Anti-material rifle. Best against automatons. Scope zoom can be adjusted by the fire mode. Choose from 50, 100 to 200. In my opinion, it's outclassed by other weapons. However, hear me out. It's meant as a stealth weapon, but also, if you have good aim, it 2-shots hulks and 1-shots devastators in the face. Expendable anti-tank. SSS plus tier weapon. It's very versatile. It one-shots chargers and works in any loadout. Also kills Battle Titans, and you can get 2 of them every 70 seconds. Grenade launcher. Highly recommended. I almost always use this. It closes bug hives and destroys fabricators. Also destroys cannon towers and a tank if aim at the weak points. It has a high range and it's very fun to use. Spear. garbage. Does lock onto automaton fabricators and spore spears, although please don't use it against spore spears because it's a waste in my opinion, since you can take down spore spears with your primary weapon or even secondary weapon. I've read that tagging a lockable enemy will improve the spear's ability to see the target, but since the lock-on is so inconsistent, I'm not sure if that's true. It does insta-kill Battle Titans if it hits the head. That is, if it hits the head. Definitely not recommended. Flamethrower. It has gotten a big damage boost. Not recommended against automatons, but it's useful against bugs, but outclassed by other weapons in my opinion. Recoilless rifle. Best against automatons. Can destroy pesky cannon towers easily. Team reloading the GR8 can achieve a much higher rate of fire, allowing for rapid hits against multiple targets. Still recommended to aim at weak points such as heads to insta-kill. Not recommended against Terminids. Use the expendable anti-tank instead. Laser cannon. Upscaled version of the scythe. Very accurate, kills hive guards and berserkers reliably. Doesn't consume ammo but has a heat sink instead, which you can only carry one of and needs to be replaced if overheated. Stalwart. Better than the machine gun in my opinion. Worse than the arc thrower. Good for mowing down enemies, but in my opinion you might as well use the arc thrower. Why, you ask? As you all might know, this weapon has infinite ammo with no heat sink. It has limited armor penetration, meaning that it can do reduced damage to enemies such as chargers. It kills most low level enemies with one hit. The arc can chain up to 2 additional entities behind the target, meaning that it can also friendly fire. Machine gun. The gun meant to be used when 40 Terminids are chasing you. You have to be stationary to reload. In my opinion, the Stalwart is better. However, it depends on what primary weapons you're running, because this thing actually has medium armor penetration and the Stalwart doesn't. Railgun. The one and only gun that made people cry after some patches. Beheads Battle Titans with 5-6 shots to the head when put on unsafe mode. Also exposes weak spots on chargers, which are the legs, and can 1 to 2 shot Hulks in the face. Let's talk about your main weapons now. Scorcher is the best weapon in the game. I've genuinely tried every single weapon in the game and it's just a Scorcher. Did you know explosives do 100% more damage against big squishy parts? It easily kills spears and chargers. Okay, maybe chargers less easily. I'll admit, I'm a bit biased. Definitely a medium range weapon, as you can hurt yourself when enemies get too close to you. Not everyone can afford the Scorcher though, so I highly recommend using the Breaker Shotgun against automatons and the Incendiary Breaker against Terminids. And when it comes to your secondary weapon, the Machine Pistol, always. The new Laser Pistol is shit, the Revolver is way too slow, and the basic pistol, it's just ass. And when it comes to your grenade, I highly recommend the Impact Grenades. I've even taken out cannon towers with impact grenades. However, if you can't afford them yet, then I highly recommend the G12 high explosive grenades if you're new to the game. Now to the last part of the video. The reason I'm not talking about fire or gas weapons and stratagems is because the damage over time effects are bad against enemies in this game, but it's the most effective way to get you killed instead. And keep in mind, just because I haven't mentioned a stratagem because it's generally bad, or not mentioned other primaries or secondaries, doesn't mean it's always unreliable. Let's take the smoke stratagem as an example. Generally, I would put them in F tier. However, these were super useful in the TCS missions. It made defending the battery so super easy. So here's some genuine good word of advice. A pro Helldiver always adapts to circumstances, including taking into account what primary weapons to use. You could even go as far as to say that every stratagem is special. Thank you so much for sticking to the end of the video, and I would really appreciate it. Drop a like and a comment. You don't even have to subscribe. Although, you know, I wouldn't say no, of course. You know, I'm just saying. My sources are down in the description below, and most of this advice comes from me just playing the game. I've gotten super close to completely finishing the game, and I plan to continue playing the game. And I might consider making more tutorial videos, or more videos in general just about Helldivers 2. Enough wasting your time though. See you next time.